Welcome to Impact OC, the only program showcasing the people and organizations shaping Orange County. With your host, Don Camber.
Hello, live from the OC Talk Radio studios at UCI's Beal Applied Innovation Center. I'm OC Talk Radio Public Affairs Director Don Camber with another great guest positively impacting our community. Today, I welcome Affordable Housing Clearinghouse's Executive Director, Brenda Rodriguez. The nonprofit homeownership service provider agency breaks down barriers to homeownership for low to mid-income individuals through financial education, foreclosure prevention, and home buyer assistance. Thank you, Brenda, for being on Impact OC.
Thank you for having me. It's a real pleasure to be here in your company, and I'm so excited to be talking about the thing I love most and I'm more passionate about, nothing less than homeownership.
Well, Brenda, please explain how Affordable Housing Clearinghouse is able to empower people and communities in Orange County to assist them in homeownership.
You know, our organization has been serving the affordable housing needs of the community for over 30 years. And some of the ways that we engage with our community in Southern California is by providing financial education, which means that we offer no-cost financial literacy workshops that may help families who've never budgeted before, or perhaps households who need help with credit management, how to improve it, how to help it, or how to better understand it. We also look at what the journey to homeownership is, and we do that by offering a no-cost homebuyer orientation, where we talk about who needs to be on the team in order to successfully become a first-time homebuyer.
What are the demographics of the people you serve?
You know, we have a very diverse population, although I have to say that in recent years, we've had a lot more Latinos and Asian Americans who are coming to us for support. However, the majority of the families that we serve, we don't necessarily look at them in terms of their ethnicity. We do look at the numbers. So we look at low income and moderate income families for the most part.
Well, give us an example of a journey someone takes through your organization to get a home.
Sure. So we have a lot of different supporters in our organizations, different banks that adhere to the Community Reinvestment Act of 1977. And one of their responsibilities is to ensure they're investing in the communities from which they take deposits. One of our recent clients who purchased a home in Stanton. She's an immigrant to this country. She worked really hard and is a marketing executive, and she didn't think that she would be able to qualify to purchase a home. So she was referred to us by one of the lenders that don't necessarily provide mortgages, but they said, you know, there's an organization, Affordable Housing Clearinghouse, that can do some hand-holding and walk you through the process. So she contacted our office. She worked with Janelle Abarca, who is our HUD certified housing counselor, and they worked together for about 3 to 4 months. We assessed her financial situation. She gave us an idea of what she wanted in terms of, was it a 1-bedroom, 2-bedroom? And then we really looked closely at what did her income look like, what did her savings look like, and what was realistic. What could she actually afford to pay? Not what she was going to fall in love with, but what she could afford to pay. And about 6 months later, she was able to work with a realtor that identified a unit that was within her means. And with our assistance, we were able to provide some down payment for the city of Stanton. And she is now, I believe, a homeowner for about 18 months. And if you want to check out her story, I welcome you to go to www.affordable-housing.org, and you can see her story where you can learn from her yourself on what her journey looked like.
What makes a home affordable through your organization?
Through our organization, I would say affordable is what you can actually afford to pay, not what you desire to have. So there's a difference between what you want and what you need. For example, when I was less informed about the homeowners process, I thought, you know, I want a house with a 3-car garage. Well, Brenda, why do you want a house with a 3-car garage? Well, I need one for my car, my truck, and my motorcycle. When I used to enjoy motorcycles. But then I realized that, you know, being a single mom with 1 child, I didn't need much more than 2 bedrooms. And so the reality check was, let's get a home that you can afford, that you can actually pay for based on your income, not necessarily one that you fall in love with, that you think is going to be your dream house. So that's one of the differences is we look at what you want versus what you need, and we focus on what you need. Affordable can also mean looking at different down payment assistance programs that are out there for which families qualify for. We always look at the income and the family size, and every program is different. There's a lot of options that are available. Sometimes they are federal programs, state programs, county programs, city programs, or other programs that might be offered through private foundations. And in the last couple of years, two of the programs that have become very popular is the WISH program and the middle income program. Both are offered through the Federal Home Loan Bank of San Francisco. And our organization helps families who may not be able to afford your high cost units. And so we qualify families and ensure that they meet the eligibility requirements so that they can take advantage of some of these grant programs that are available. And some of these grants can be as much as $80,000, $50,000, $25,000. There's so many factors that are considered, but those are some of the things that we take a look at in order to ensure that the homes that families purchase are affordable with assistance of down payment.
Now, are the homes sold at whatever the market rate is, or are you able to get some kind of a discount on them?
Well, we're not a realtor. So the realtor works on behalf of the buyer or the seller. And so what we tend to do is we tend to inform the buyer as to what would be what they realistically qualify for. It's up to then the realtor to identify the property that they actually can afford to buy based on whatever loan amounts they're able to get approval for. So if there's going to be a discount, that would be negotiated between the seller's agent and the seller and the buyer's agent and the family.
So you work with the client so that they can eventually get into a home. Why don't you dive deeper and explain how you're able to succeed in doing this in terms of the classes they could take so that they know what they need to do to secure the four walls and call it home?
So I think one of the most important things that the public can do is to reach out to HUD-approved housing counseling agencies, of which we are one of the ones that serve the Orange County community and the Southern California community. And basically, during the homebuyer orientation, families learn what they need to budget, why credit management is important, who becomes a member of their team, the realtor, the housing counselor, the inspector, the lender, of course, the insurance agent. And so we go through all those different roles and what that path looks like. And so once they've completed that homebuyer orientation with us, they can then proceed to sign up for housing counseling. And there they will receive an assessment of their financial situation to better understand what are some behaviors that maybe we can change to increase our savings, decrease our expenses, and have a little bit more money to go towards a home. But it does those types of decisions and undertakings are not one for one person to do. They're usually for the whole family to have a discussion about. And so with the housing counselor, they're able to set up a plan. Sometimes it means they need to cut certain costs, maybe taking a look at their entertainment. Sometimes they need to increase their savings and they realize maybe we need to cook more at home instead of eating out as much as we do. There's a lot of different options that are available to consider, and it's always up to the family. They need to make an informed decision about whether or not they want to continue in the process and become a first-time home buyer, or maybe they just learn some new behaviors about how to save more money or spend less and invest in other ways, because purchasing their home is probably the biggest investment they'll ever make in their life.
How are you funded to help these people?
You know, we're funded in a number of different ways. What we like to do is ensure that we educate the public. And so we partner with a lot of different lenders in Southern California. Some of them may include Bank of California, City National Bank, US Bank. There's so many that contribute to the work that we do. And most recently, we had our Orange County Reinvestment Forum that took place on October 12th. In fact, it takes place the second Thursday of the year. The second Thursday of October. And we have a lot of different topics that we go over. This year, it was expanding homeownership opportunities. And we had folks like Tiana Johnson Hall, who came and shared information with us about Cal HFA. We had Pacific Western Bank that talked about the middle income program. And we also had folks like Clemente Mojica, who came from NPHS in Riverside. And he came and talked to us about ADUs and what the benefits are for a homeowner, someone who already owns a home, who would like to have an ADU in their place. So there's a lot of different ways that we receive income. We also have a contract with the County of Orange, where we're able to verify eligibility for families who qualify for the Mortgage Assistance Program. We participate in applying for CDBG funds for with different cities in Southern California. It could be the city of Irvine, city of Santa Ana. There's a lot of different opportunities. And then, of course, we receive contributions from the public. A lot of the work that we do is there's no service fee attached to it. And so we offer our housing counselor services to the public at no cost to them. We do have a fee for the HUD certification, which is really important because a lot of the programs require a HUD workshop. And so we enable the families to register and sign up at their pace. And those are some of the ways that we receive income.
Well, affordable housing is a big buzzword, and I know that a lot of cities are told they're required to offer affordable housing. Explain how that works, because it's not so much the cities offering affordable housing, they have to make available areas for it.
Well, there's a lot of different topics that has to do with affordable housing. There is a housing element. There's state mandated housing where each city has to make available a certain number of affordable units, but it doesn't necessarily mean that they have to be home ownership units. They can be rental units. Cesar Covarrubias of the Kennedy Commission is very well versed in the housing element and what the requirements are for each of the cities. As far as home ownership, there is a high need for home ownership, but because along the continuum of housing, right now the hot topics are mostly the homeless population that we have to stand up for. There's a lot more affordable housing needs in the rental market. And a lot of times home ownership goes overlooked. And so for Affordable Housing Clearinghouse, our hope is that there's some listeners out there who have land or have the ability to donate land so that we can develop homes for first-time home buyers. Because these are the families that are the working class families, right? These are the families that you see at restaurants. These are the families that work at the universities, at the local schools. They're your doctors. They're also your nurses. And so I would love for someone or some entity to step in and say, we have all this land, or we're able to help facilitate the purchase and development of land, which we would be happy to partner with.
What are some of the barriers to home ownership?
Well, right now, as we all know, the interest rates have been increasing. And although we have a lot of families that for the first time in many years had an increase in their savings due to COVID, a lot of families have to stay home. They couldn't go and spend the money that they once did, so they accumulated a lot of savings. And that's important when you want to become a homeowner. But when you have a high interest rate, it makes it very difficult to purchase a home within your income level. And right now, after hearing the latest economic outlook from one of our partners, the word is that 60% of homes that are available are mortgaged at under 3%. So there's no incentive for homes to be made available to families who can now purchase those homes. Some of their barriers is that every day folks are spending more money, they're increasing their credit card debt, and so that is a hindrance to homeownership because you're having to spend money that you don't have on debt that you've already begun to accumulate. In Orange County, because we are a high cost area, the homes are already expensive. The land is expensive. People who live here in California, in Southern California in particular, it's my opinion that we have to pay a sunshine tax in order to receive the benefits of, being in a beautiful location where the sun is, probably out more than we do get rain. And another barrier is that the housing stock is limited already, and there's not enough down payment assistance programs that are available for low income or moderate income, even first time home buyers. So we work really hard to develop partnerships with lenders who are willing to provide down payment assistance to first time home buyers.
Do you qualify the people to be able to get your services before they move on and eventually own a home?
Actually, anybody in Southern California can reach out to us or any other HUD approved housing counseling agency for services. Some organizations do charge for some of their services and some organizations do not. Going into a fee for service is something that we have considered, but I think right now, given the economic situation, the high cost of living, the inflation, we're still able, with the donations and the sponsorships that we receive, we're still able to make housing counseling and one-on-one pre-purchase available to the public at no cost.
What's required?
It depends on the program. So the majority of the programs do require you to either be a resident, a permanent resident, or a citizen. You do have to have some savings available, and you do need to qualify for a loan. You need to be able to make a mortgage payment. So if you've been unemployed, for example, you probably won't be able to qualify for a loan, right? So you have to be able to qualify for a mortgage that you can actually afford to pay.
Explain the workforce development through upcoming lead abatement program.
So the workforce development program, we've been working with the Luke's Network, who they've been really helpful in helping me to develop this program where I would like to take a look at the housing stock here in Orange County. We have a lot of housing stock that is dated, that has lead. And so one of the programs that we'd like to develop is to eliminate some of the lead that is in some of these homes, especially in the homes that were built before 1978. So one of the benefits would be that we would train young people to start learning about what the lead assessment process looks like, what lead abatement could be, and perhaps even take it to another level where they could develop their own business. And so they would be positive contributors to our economy. They would start learning first as apprentice under somebody that already does the work. And we would take a look at cities where the density is high. And if we do an assessment of where these properties are, we can start with those that are the oldest and perhaps the most at risk.
Does that mean that there's no way that anybody that goes through your program will get into a home that has lead in it?
No, they're not really, they're not intertwined. They're independent of each other.
Programs.
Yeah, so usually when we help families purchase properties, we do look at a home inspection report, and depending on what the home inspection report says about the unit that they're going to purchase, also the it escapes my memory, but the preliminary report that they receive will tell us the date of the property when it was built. And so we can always look to see whether or not there's a risk of lead being in those units, because a lot of the homes that were built prior to 1978 do have some level of lead in them.
Give us some success stories.
Well, I told you one about Alba, who lives in Stanton. We also help families that go through foreclosure. This is, probably the most difficult and emotional part of the work that we do, is helping families who are at risk of foreclosure. So we do help individuals who are going through the foreclosure process or have been given notice. And I think for us, although we had a lot more workshops before during the housing crisis. There's nothing like having a family call you and thank you profusely because you help them avoid becoming homeless. Just because you're at risk of being foreclosed on doesn't mean that you can't have help. Our organization right now is poised to assist families in English, Spanish, and Vietnamese. If they're going through or are at risk of the foreclosure process, we will not charge to negotiate or renegotiate any of the terms as long as the lenders are willing to talk to us. And that's something that we take a lot of great pride in because the last thing we want is for a family to end up in the streets after they've worked so hard to purchase their home. And so we have a lot of success stories, but as you can imagine, a lot of these families want to keep that confidential. But if you look at our newsletter, which I'm happy to send out for any of you that are out there listening, send me an email at brodriguez@affordable-housing.org, and I'm more than happy to send you a couple of our success stories of families that Helen Tran, another HUD certified housing counselor, has helped to avoid foreclosure.
Will you repeat that again?
B. Rodriguez, BRODRIGUEZ at affordable-housing.org.
So are people comfortable reaching out to you, or is it a little difficult?
Actually, I think that one of the reasons that we've had success for over 30 years is because a lot of what friends and families of the organizations do is continue to do word of mouth. So although we do have a Facebook presence and Instagram presence, and I am on LinkedIn, a lot of the referrals that we get and the clients that we receive are because of word of mouth. And that's usually the best way that you can learn about the services that we offer. But we're also an organization that does affirmatively fair marketing, which means that we try to disseminate as much information as we can in English, Spanish, and Vietnamese. And the reason we do that is because we know that those are the three languages most spoken here in Orange County. And as many people know, here in Orange County, we have the second largest population of Vietnamese outside of Vietnam. So for me, it's really important that we try and reach all the areas, which is not to say that we would exclude anybody, but those are the primary language that we have somebody that you can speak to on the phone, one-on-one, at any given time.
Why is home ownership important?
Home ownership is important because it's one of the ways that we can build wealth in this country. And thank you for asking that. My parents came from Mexico over 40 years ago, and there's myself and I have 5 siblings. And my mom has always pushed us to do the best that we can in anything that we engage in, as long as it's productive and we're not causing a burden to society. But homeownership is one of the ways that we have been able to achieve stability. It's one of the ways that we remain engaged with the community, that we invest in the local activities of each of the cities that we all live in. Each of my siblings, and I mentioned I have 5 of them, they're all homeowners. And that's no easy feat. But my mom is one of those moms that say, you can do it. Here's some change, go figure it out. And I think it's also one of the ways that we can borrow against our properties to become small business owners. It's another way that we can help our children achieve higher education. And it's also a place where we can gather together during the holidays and remain united and solve issues and have discussions and create memories, which are really, really important.
Are you there when they get the keys to open the door to their home?
I am some of the time, but not all of the time. And when you see that family get those keys and you show up, and one of the things that we like to do is give them time, right? Because they have that moment of reflection. So we may wait a few days or, at least let them settle in before we go visit them. And the welcome that we receive is so warm, and it's really one of those moments that you say, God, I worked so hard to help provide information so that my clients can become informed decision makers. And when they open that front door to you, it's just a wonderful feeling. It's like everything you work so hard for to get to them, whether it's down payment assistance, resources, other contacts, referrals, other information that they may need. It is very satisfying, and it makes sense. So we have to pay it forward however we can.
Thank you, Affordable Housing Clearinghouse's Executive Director, Brenda Rodriguez, for being on Impact OC. And I thank everyone for tuning in. I'm OC Talk Radio Public Affairs Director Dawn Camber. Have an impactful day.
You've been listening to Impact OC, the only program showcasing the people and organizations shaping our community. Right here on Orange County's only community radio station, OC Talk Radio.